Egypt has proposed an initial 2-day ceasefire in Gaza to exchange 4 Israeli hostages still held captive by the Hamas militants for some Palestinian prisoners. This as negotiations to end the year-long war resumed in Qatar's capital Doha on Sunday. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sissi made the announcement without saying whether the plan has been formally presented to either Israel or Hamas. Sisi said more negotiation will take place in the next 10 days. Egypt, alongside Qatar and the US, has for months been mediating indirect talks with not much success. CIA Director William Burns and Qatari Prime Minister met David Barnea, who is the head of Israel's spy agency, the Mossad, in a bid to discuss attempts to move towards a hostage for ceasefire deal between Israel and the Hamas militants. And this as families of the hostages continue building pressure on the Israeli government. On Sunday itself, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was heckled during a memorial service in Jerusalem for the October 7th attacks. The family members of the victims as well as the hostages interrupted his speech with shouts of "Shame on you." Meanwhile, Israel continues to pound Gaza while also fighting a war against Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Gaza Civil Defense Agency said Israel struck a school building sheltering displaced Palestinians on Sunday, killing at least 9 people. In total, at least 53 people were killed across Gaza in the last 24 hours, including 46 in the north. On the other hand, at least 21 people were killed in Israeli airstrikes on 3 different areas in southern Lebanon, according to the Lebanese Health Ministry, that is. Well, this as global calls for restraint grow. The United Nations Security Council will meet on Monday at Iran's request, with Tehran calling on the body to condemn the recent Israeli strikes that killed 4 of its soldiers. For more on this, our correspondent Jody Cohen is joining us live from Tel Aviv. Hi, Jody. Now, the ceasefire talks, which have been elusive for the past few months, are set to take place today. And this also comes after Israel's precision strikes on Iran and Galant, clearly saying that not all goals can be achieved militarily. What are the chances of the talks being successful this time around?
Hi, Raisha. Yes, so Egypt has proposed a new deal that involves a 2-day pause in the fighting in exchange for the release of 4 hostages. Now, Saudi media have quoted a Hamas official as saying that Hamas would reject Egypt's proposal. Other reports suggest that Hamas would accept if it incorporates a full ceasefire, which is, of course, is different from Egypt's proposal. Now, the talks have been stalled for some 2 months now. Washington had blamed Hamas head Yahya Sinwar for the stalling of the talks, but now that Sinwar has been killed, there's this renewed push for a deal. But sticking points still remain. For example, Hamas is still demanding that Israel completely leaves Gaza, but that would leave Hamas in power, which still threatens Israel, and that's unacceptable to Israel. Now, as you said, Defense Minister Galant has said that not all of Israel's war goals can be achieved militarily, and Israel has offered its own proposal, and that is safe passage for Hamas leaders in exchange for Hamas laying down their weapons and releasing the 101 hostages. And Israeli negotiators are in Doha to discuss next steps with mediators.
Right, Joey, a lot of uncertainty on that front. Talk to us more about how Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has said that Israel's attack should not be downplayed or exaggerated. And news just coming in is that Iran's Guards of Chief has warned Israel of bitter consequences. What does all this mean, and what kind of an impact will Israel's precision strikes over Iran, which took place over the weekend, will have on the ceasefire talks?
So this, of course, remains to be seen, but we know that Israel targeted Iran's missile, drone and rocket manufacturing sites, and Iran has suggested that not much damage was caused. But some experts are suggesting that Israel could have set Israel's missile production back by years, and they also suggest that it could now impact Iran's ability to supply Russia for its war in Ukraine. Now, as you said, Iran has warned Israel of bitter consequences of its strike. We know that the IDF have paused army recruitment for 1 week while it anticipates an Iranian retaliation. Meanwhile, the UNSC is meeting on Monday about Israel's strikes in Iran. Washington, we know, supported Israel's right to respond to Iran's ballistic missile attack, called Israel's strikes targeted and proportionate, and is now calling on countries to put pressure on Iran to stop attacks against Israel.
Right, Judy, we'll wait and have to see how the talks pan out in Qatar. But thank you for joining us on the show. That was our correspondent, Jody Cohen, joining us live from Tel Aviv.